Take a pit stop for all things NASCAR with the Four Tire Change podcast. Here is your host, Dawson Iserlo.
Welcome back. It's the Four Tire Change, episode 3. Dawson Iserlo with you here on an exciting week in NASCAR because we got the unofficial kickoff to the season out of the way. The clash at the Coliseum last week is complete. That means we have an off week. Of course, NASCAR kind of moves aside, lets the Super Bowl take control of the show. And the following week, they'll be back with speed weeks over at Daytona and then the Daytona 500, the Great American Race on Sunday, the 18th. So that should be a ton of fun. So let's talk about the clash at the Coliseum for a little bit. I mentioned last week, not my favorite event. Wasn't going to spend too much time on it, but it happened. And there was actually some interesting precedent that got set in this event that I think is maybe more intriguing even than the actual racing that happened. And that is that they moved the race up due to rain. So the reason this is a big deal is that NASCAR has been very hesitant in the past to ever do anything like that. They do not move races up. They wait until the last minute to even postpone races. And of course, we've had plenty of races on Monday. They moved this one up to Saturday. And the reason they did so is because Los Angeles, the place where it never rains, ironically, again, if you're in need of rain in an area, just schedule a NASCAR race, you'll get rain. No doubt about it. That's been the joke forever. And it was never more true than on Saturday at the Coliseum, which again, the race was supposed to be Sunday night, moved up to Saturday. Torrential downpours from Sunday to Wednesday, so they couldn't wait because they felt like they were going to get weather. Again, they had to rip this track up. This is a portable track they brought to the LA Coliseum for the exhibition race that does not count in the points, but again, is the unofficial kickoff to the season. So they moved it up. The drivers all applauded. The teams all applauded. Fans, obviously, maybe some of them were upset that didn't get to travel in and go to the race as they planned, but all in all, I think this was the right move, and we got some racing in. Then the race happened, and it was certainly intriguing. You had a lot of battles. You had Ty Gibbs going at it with Joey Logano. That became a topic of conversation later when Logano really kind of got into it with Ty over in the haulers. And then you heard Logano say some things this week that he really doesn't know how to proceed with Ty Gibbs. Apparently, Denny Hamlin's maybe going to try and help out there and mediate between the two. Of course, Hamlin being a teammate of Ty Gibbs and has known and raced with Joey Logano for quite a long time. But that's exciting, and that's a storyline to now circle and kind of write down and put aside for the regular season. Joey Logano versus the second-year up-and-comer Ty Gibbs. I'll have more on Ty Gibbs later on, by the way, when I talk about some of my favorites to really have some success during the 2024 NASCAR season, which is going to be in this episode as well. So other than that, again, I thought the race was good. It wasn't great. The short track package, the new one wasn't in effect here, which we talked about in the last episode. Again, the short track package is going to be important. It was our first look at the new nose for the Dark Horse Mustang, the new Camry as well. So that was good to see everybody back on the track again. It just kind of is an appetizer for what's going to be an exciting week ahead at Daytona after the Super Bowl concludes on Sunday. So in the end, Denny Hamlin wins the race and tells everyone he beat their favorite driver again, which I think is important that he's playing a villain role, by the way. I think that's good for the sport. I think they need it. And Denny's ready to embrace it. So by all means, go ahead. I think some people are going to still boo him. I think it's good for the sport to have a villain role and to have somebody who people root against. That's why I think the Patriots were good for the NFL when they were rolling. I think the Chiefs are good for the NFL right now that they have it rolling, even though people don't want to admit that. I think the Astros are good for Major League Baseball because they have put together such a run of success here. And obviously they're hated for more reasons than just winning. But all in all, I think Denny Hamlin being that guy could be really good for the sport in general. This is probably the end of the clash at the Coliseum. I don't have a huge take on it. The clash maybe can move around. I think that's probably the best bet. Like bring it to some new venues, bring it to, they're talking about Montreal or Mexico City. Like, I think, that's fair. Bring it to some cool local short tracks across the country, bring it to different places that don't see it, or just rotate it around some of your venues that you already go to as NASCAR. It's a nice way to get a kickoff. I would also love to see a change to the format. I think you can give a playoff point to the winner of the race, or, at least 5 bonus points in the point standing, something. You don't give points to everyone, just make it winner take all. But something to, make the stakes even higher. But again, I understand if they don't want to do that because it's so unorthodox of an event. All that being said, that is the clash. Next week will be Speed Weeks. We'll have a bigger episode that's kind of previewing the Daytona 500 itself and, the official start to the season. But I wanted to spend a little bit more time here today talking about some of my championship contenders and some bold, kind of predictions, so to speak, but things I want to watch throughout this 2024 NASCAR campaign. And I'll start with Ty Gibbs because I teased it earlier. I'm not picking him as a favorite for the title, But I am here to say I think there's no way Ty Gibbs misses the playoffs. He's too talented. And look, say what you want, whether you like him or hate him. I know a lot of people who don't like him very much at all. And, he is the grandson of Joe Gibbs. And, of course, people bring up the nepotism aspect of this. I think, look, in a different world, would Ty Gibbs have been given all the same opportunities? No. But is he talented enough to be in the Cup Series? Yes. He's talented enough to be a Cup Series regular for the next 2 decades. I really think that. And so I think we saw it last year. He was right there on the verge of a playoff spot anyway. Didn't win a race, though. He's just too talented. And we saw him run up front there. Again, he's got great equipment and he's that talented. Ty Gibbs is going to win a race in 2024. He's going to be a factor in the playoffs. And I think he's going to move past the first round as well. I think he's in the round of 12, maybe even the round of 8. And once you get to that point, as we know, who knows what can happen. I think it's a big year for the 54 team and Ty Gibbs. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out there. The next thing I wanted to say, I do think it's going to be a struggle for Stewart-Haas. And I know this has already been brought up on both the first 2 episodes, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. But I didn't see anything that really changed my mind. We'll see if Noah Gragson, I know he is talented. I just worry about all the off-the-track stuff with him. So that'll be something to determine. But I think Stewart-Haas is going to struggle throughout the season. And, another bold prediction I'll have here, Stewart-Haas will not have any cars make the playoffs. I don't think they win a race. I just think they're going to struggle. And maybe, look, if they can get it done at a super speedway, that'd be huge for them. They do have some tracks like New Hampshire where Stewart-Haas has always been good at. We've seen Almirola win there. We've seen Briscoe have success at some of those types of tracks, but I think they're in some trouble. I really do. So now let's talk about my championship contenders. I'll pick 4, and this will probably end up being my playoff 4 when I make my full playoff predictions. That'll be coming up next week. We'll get Chris as well on for that. But I'll start with my 4th favorite of the year. It's Ryan Blaney. And again, these aren't necessarily in particular order, so I shouldn't have said 4th. My first of the 4, Ryan Blaney, who won the championship last year. And I said I think it's going to be an even better year for him overall. Obviously, I'm not picking him to repeat just based on that, but I think he's going to be there. I think he needs to make a statement this year, and I think he'll do so. And I think he'll do it in a big way. My next is going to be Chase Elliott. I went back and forth between Larson and Elliott being in this because I didn't want to have 2 Hendrick drivers in, even though I do think there's a pretty decent chance we do have 2 Hendrick drivers at the end of it. I think Elliott, the sport needs it. So I may be rooting for the sport in a way. I don't know if that's the same way to put it. But I think Chase has a bounce back year. He had so much go against him last season. And I think he's going to be out to prove some things. And I think he'll have the speed, of course, as Hendrick typically does. I think he'll win a couple of races, if not more than that. And I think he'll be right there in the end. So he's my second guy in this list. Third is Christopher Bell. And sometimes it's just a matter of the talent winning out. I think Christopher Bell has the talent, and I think he has consistently proven it. And what I love about him is how poised he is in the playoffs, because we've now seen him make a couple of runs to the championship 4. And I just think he's the next guy that's going to be a mainstay in this series, making it there. And I think that's going to be the case for a long time. The only doubt you have is maybe can he consistently win races in the regular season? We haven't maybe seen that part of it yet, but I've got no reason to believe Christopher Bell is not going to be in the top 5 or 6 of the point standings just about every year of his career for the foreseeable future. I think he's that type of driver. And lastly, again, I didn't want to put 2 drivers from one team in here. I was going to spread the love around a little bit, but I just think Denny Hamlin's got to be back in the mix. Like, he's running out of years to do it. We've talked about that before. He's got all the things going with ownership where he's, kind of got his hands in both ends of the cookie jar, so to speak. But he's really at the top of his game right now. And again, I think the way it ended last year was unfortunate for him yet again. And he's got to deal with that. He's got to deal with the adversity of the playoffs. But I think he puts together another really strong regular season. I think he's right there come championship time. Can he get it done? I don't know. He hasn't proven that he can. But I think we all know he's talented enough to. I think we all know he's good enough to win a title. It's been a matter of time forever. Maybe 2024 is the year Denny Hamlin gets it done. So that's just a quick video right there. Just wanted to kind of touch base about the Clash, give an update, give some more kind of look ahead, little facts to put in the back of your mind as we head towards Speed Weeks. Next week will be Speed Weeks. We will have guests on. We will have a conversation. If no one else, we'll definitely be talking to Chris once again to get his predictions for the season. We'll make our official brackets. You can hold me to those. I'll pick my 16 playoff drivers in each round of the playoffs after that. And, of course, we'll also have to talk about the Daytona 500. Might get split up into separate pods, or we might put it all together in one. We'll just kind of see how that forms as the week goes on. But I want to thank everybody again for joining. Please go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment as well, and join the 4 Tire Change family. But until then, I'm signing out.